Well, like we were saying earlier, I think it's obviously controlled opposition, and I think it is like how we alluded. Black Lives Matter, Antifa, all of them have a public image, public relations nightmare on their hand. They're not going to attract many more new people, so you essentially need some rebranding. And like you said, if this is what it takes to bring in the Q people and sort of get all these people together, then so be it. But obviously, through the symbolism and the iconography, it's not just about masks. It's about something more.
Jamie, that was poetry.
Once we're done. So what's going on?
Well, there's a big thing going on in the UK at the moment. It's not just the UK, it's everywhere. And it's this new protest, this new movement, this big movement's going on. I think it's called, is it Stand Up X, they call it. And everyone's behind it now. I don't know if you're probably not in America, but it's really big in the UK. And it's massive in kind of like some European countries and Australia. And it's where all these people meet up and they like protest the mask. They're mask debaters, is what they're mask debaters. So, and I don't know if you've seen the news clips, but that's what they're calling them now. It's like mask debaters, mask debaters, mask debaters. And I don't know if you had a chance to look at it first. I'd like to hear what you think about it. But in a nutshell, what it looks like on the outside is you get all these people who don't have a voice. And luckily in the UK, we've got an ex-BBC whistleblower.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that last time.
Yeah. Well, it's becoming a bigger thing now. And she's now giving a voice to all these people on YouTube about how they really feel about the pandemic. And she's got all these whistleblowers, all these doctors. And I've got concerns about it straight off the bat. And I'm getting ostracized again, like I do from every single community, because I'm pointing out to the truth community that I don't really have issues with it, I've just got questions about it.
Yeah.
Been there, firsthand, seen it. I had big concerns then. And to me, there's a blueprint. And they always use the same blueprint. I just find it bizarro that it's exactly the same kind of stuff that I always see. So have you had a chance to look at it yet?
No. But I mean, I don't doubt it. There's the Stalin quote where it's like the easiest way to, or Stalin or Lenin, but the whole thing about the easiest way to squash dissent is to control dissent, is to, manufacture it. So
that's the first argument I make. I make a better one than you. I just say I got it from Owen Benjamin, obviously. I said all protests. Well, I don't think Owen Benjamin said it, but it's in what's the genre of Owen Benjamin.
Yeah.
Like, name one protest that didn't turn out to be gay. And then once you've done that, try and name one that wasn't fake from the beginning.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, I've always
if you can do that first, then I think we can look at this one.
I've always kind of mocked the, oh, there's a political issue, well, let's go for a walk around the block mentality, just because I don't know what it's ever solved.
Brought you a little picture, if you'd be so kind to have a look at this picture I have sent to you, Jamie. Because this isn't a normal protest, this is original artwork. I've never seen a protest with artwork like this before. Have a look at that. I think the audience might need to see it.
Yeah, let me...
I think that's a good place to start. Now, when you go on their webpage, it's all very basic. It says, like, we want to make awareness that all vaccines are bad. There's no such thing as viruses, and 5G is bad. And now we don't want a new normal, and, we won't wear a mask. So it's like pretty basic stuff. So what comes to mind when you look at that? Is there anything like...
Well, I mean, there's
you've seen before.
The communist fist, obviously, for one.
Yeah, do you want to bring it up on screen? I don't think the viewers can
No,
see
I have it on screen.
All right. Oh,
Should
yeah.
be
I'm
now.
sorry, I'm on Facebook, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I see the communist fist, the black and the white kind of jerking off. We all agree that's a communist fist, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you, just for the audience, me and Jamie live in a world not like everybody else. we think that the world runs on basically two principles: symbols and signals. I reckon it's fair to say, isn't it, that all culture can be
Yeah.
represent every language is symbols and signals. So the first thing that placards me is, why have we, out of all the images we could pick for not having a mask, why have we got two fists?
Yeah, that's, now that you mention it, because at first I was sort of compartmentalizing it, but it
And
just, it slipped out of my mind
that's not my
exactly
first
what sort
argument.
of protest we
Number
were
one,
talking
original,
about. Like,
all protests are gay and fake, which this is their logos. We haven't even deep dived yet. We've got nowhere. We've established that all protests are gay and fake, and I've seen that before.
and
At every
especially,
protest.
and
It looks like
especially
a cross
keep in
between
mind,
Antifa and Black Lives Matter.
well, and keep in mind too, in America, and I think it's an unintentional false binary, but it's been put out this way where it's basically, what are the two types of protests they keep juxtaposing together? The reopen America protest, the anti-mask, reopen it, COVID's not as bad as they say, and then the Black Lives Matter and all of
Yeah,
that
you're going
nonsense.
down the same road I'm going.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you have this one that's, again, I like when you told me bring up this image and I'm, tinkering with the program, the whole part about this being anti-mask just completely left my mind until you just mentioned it again.
There is that. Like if me and Jamie were heading this thing and we were like not corrupt or being pushed in the wrong direction, we want to bring to your attention COVID, masks, shut down economy. What sort of stuff might we do? Like a clown with a mask, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah, and that's the weird
where
thing
did
is,
the fists come into it?
yeah, you have this thing that's, I mean, you have this protest that, the one that it's continually like, oh, well, this one's bad, but that one's good, but it has the iconography of the one that it's supposedly the opposite of, or whatever. Yeah, that's really, really out there. I mean, but it does sort of play into the idea that, these fucking communists were probably like, all right, well, rather than fighting against this anti-mask shit, let's just run it ourselves and make it look stupid.
When you're an organisation, lots of protests, like you said at the moment. You've got Antifa, you've got Black Lives Matter. I think it'd be important to have a symbol that separated you, rather than having something similar to the other two protests. Yeah. But anyway, there's something else I can see. I learned this from Aaron Dykes and Melissa Melton. It was really important. When we looked at Extinction Rebellion, it's extinction, X, not EX, it's X.
Yeah.
And it's because they were talking about Generation X. And if you look into symbology, just a very basic symbology of X, it's not a cross. It's slightly different to the Christ. What it actually is, it's about the X reality, that we're an X reality. As you know, merging with the machine, using our minds, seeing reality different to what we did before, a transformation, if you will. So this is very ritualistic in mindset, the reprogramming of a generation. That's what X is. It's like a rebirth, transitioning into something new. So I thought it was weird, and not only did Extinction Rebellion, they specifically used an X for that reason, that we have the X again. So again, we've got all these different, not only did we have the Black Lives Matter and Antifa, we should be separating ourselves from, but maybe Extinction Rebellion. So now we're kind of merged all three into one. Now, one point which I don't think your mind quite got to, but it was going down that road, was Extinction Rebellion's dead.
Is it?
Black Lives Matter's risky business to be, protesting for it. I mean, even that Don Lemon is having difficulty supporting these guys. Antifa's dead and buried. They're basically a terrorist organisation.
Yeah.
So it means that this is a great way to get all three of them in, and the new guys, like these new truthists. I'm going to call them Q-tard. They are. All these Q people I love. That's because the Q people, they haven't put the time in on the research. They're just reading the quotes. They're not like, I'm not saying me and Jamie are up there with David Icke or Alex Jones, but there's lots of people that came before us that really understand this.
Yeah.
And I think Q takes away from the actual real research. I think So just to clarify, you're going to get a merge of Antifa, which you can't really get behind anymore. You can't get behind Black Lives Matter anymore. This We've always called it the new flu deal, and that would take care of the Extinction Rebellion. And just before you go on, there's one last thing with this picture, and that's the colour. What colours do we see? It's really, I'm not going to include the white, I'm seeing black and orange. And the only thing that I can think of, I've wrapped my head hard, orange and black, the only thing I can hit home on that is Halloween. Now, the reason Halloween is important, hang on, is that was the birthday of Extinction Rebellion.
Well, and I'll throw in another one, which
Now
is
we've got
this.
the coincidence, we've got a fist, we've got the X, we've got the comet, and we've got the Halloween connection.
Well, and also though,
guys.
and this may be specific to American culture, and it's a little more of a loose, like I am sort of pulling. But now, when someone comes to me and says, and I've never even seen this show, but if you just mention in a sentence together, orange and black, my head goes to the show Orange is the New Black, which is about women being locked up in a prison, because in America, prison jumpsuits are that color orange. So it also, vaguely ties into the idea of prison colors and stuff like that.
Right, yeah.
Which,
Well,
we can get into this in a few minutes, but speaking of prison shit, I mean, I stuff going on at my one job, for example. I mean, I did one video where I was like exposing my experience working at this place. I'm about to do a second one because there are things going on where when I walk into this place where I'm working in mental health, it is literally like walking into an alternate reality. Like, on the day that I'm talking to friends and they're like, oh yeah, gyms are reopening, this is reopening, restaurants have upgraded capacity, like the lockdown is lessening and lessening, because I don't know if you've seen New York death rates, like they are single digits for weeks now. Like, it's almost like Cuomo and all them were like, cook the books the other way. Like, we can't completely collapse New York. We need the rich people to come back. No one's dying. So they're lessening all the restrictions. But then I go to work and they're like, when someone comes here, they can't leave to go anywhere but a doctor's appointment. And I'm like, wait, the restrictions are lessening everywhere else, and the only place these people can go is the places where sick people congregate, and you're doing this for my health and safety? What is going on here? Like, there is it's really out there, because you have this weird juxtaposition where it's like things are opening up, but then certain people are like, no, lock it down more, we got to keep locking down, lock it down even tighter. And it's like, you don't understand the reasoning for any of it. Like, I mean, I don't want to say that it's because I'm working in a place that the whole sort of gimmick of it is it's run by people with mental illnesses now, and that could obviously be anything. I used to enjoy heroin a little too much, that's my mental illness. But it's like, I mean, it's you would just look at the way this place functions and you're like, someone here is retarded. And then it's like, you're like, oh wait, everyone potentially could be? That's your gimmick? It's a fucking mess. It's driving me crazy because, like I said, I am essentially entering this false reality for 8 hours a day, 3 days a week, where I have to suspend my knowledge of everything just to avoid stepping into this state of cognitive dissonance, where it's like all of my activities are going counter against what I know of the world. Like, it's really like a mind fuck, and I'm putting in my 2 weeks today or tomorrow because I can't do it anymore.
Jamie, I think it's really important. Like, I'm really passionate about this subject, right? It's really big in the UK. We've really got to focus on this X, because we're getting thousands, hundreds of thousands of people behind it, actually marching behind this. And I'm being ostracized left, right, and centre. Now, I don't want to sound like I've got the big dick round here, but when I go to these marches or I speak to these people, I've spent 2 weeks with Alex Jones. I've spent time with Luke Rudowski, Dan Dix, Paul. I was into this, like it's quite fashionable to be a conspiracy theorist right now. It's fine to be one. Back 2007, I was out of my mind. And you're seeing all these people join it. And if you can bring up the main woman who's behind it is Anna Breeze, this woman called Anna Breeze. You can bring her up. She has a YouTube channel, and she's saying she's ex-BBC, and because of how bad the BBC were with paedophilia and such, that she's such an insider. She has to create this alternative network to beat the BBC. I don't trust this woman as far as I can. I just find it very strange that not only have we got all the coincidence with this, we've got the coincidence that the person that's leading this is a propaganda agent. Well, I don't know whether she's genuine and she's left, but she's from that. And the first people she teams up with, it goes back to the Hampstead case, because one of her first guests was the whistleblower cop in the UK who was saying that Hampstead was real. That crazy guy that called me personally a satanic paedophile within that cult. I was named by this cop, his so-called cop. I was in it, and the evidence he had that I was in it was because I was so obsessed with not going along with it. If I don't go along with it, you must be part of the satanic cult, obviously. So this cop that she's with, I can't remember his name, but he's the most unbelievable comic book cartoon character ever. He's not a whistleblower cop at all. He might be a cop, but he looks like he's discrediting actual satanic ritual abuse when it's whistleblowing. It's such nonsense. You combine that with the Hampstead. Again, we've got this kind of taking genuine research and basically, does that make sense? I'm not explaining it very well. When you sabotage it, you start your own group, get everyone away from actually researching it, and then you get mocked by the media being so far-fetched. Now, what Anna Breeze is doing is she's getting everyone to send these videos, these testimonies to her YouTube. And it's like, we need to hear from the people about how bad COVID is. And no disrespect to the people on the videos, but you've got to remember, everyone's sending their testimonies to this ex-BBC person. And the only people it's been up for 3 months, every day, new testimonies, like 3 or 4 testimonies. They're single mums, they're musicians, which means unemployed. Just everyone's unemployed. The best is like a bricklayer.
Yeah.
Or they're retired, but most of them are single mums or housewives. And you think, so that means there's no lawyers there, there's no doctors there, there's no one there who could actually be a voice that could convince. So anyone from the outside, when they look at Stand Up X, they're going to go on Anna Breeze's channel and see like 200 testimonies. The most qualified person there is probably going to be a bricklayer. So to me, it seems like it could be the case that she gets thousands of videos, and the doctors and lawyers and the actual really great videos go here. And all the people that unfortunately do have mental illness are making it onto this YouTube channel. Now, the problem you've got is, regardless of your politics of where you are on COVID, well, there it is, there's the COVID there. A lot of people do believe that, and they're scared and they're terrified. How are you going to convert people when you go on the streets and you demand that they're stupid and they could take the masks, and you're not socially distancing, you're not wearing the mask? They're going to see you as not only a threat, but just selfish. Well, and then the sort of demands you're going on is like that there's no virus exists. Now, I'm not saying whether that's true or not, but when you're trying to wake somebody up, granny down the road, I think pushing the viruses don't exist is a... No, I've
walked people through, so even just questioning aspects
into the limelight.
Yeah, I've walked people who believe the virus is real and stuff like that, but I've walked them through like several points of how the response is just performative, and and they'll agree with me point by point by point, as long as I don't take it to it's all fake, nothing's real, this. It's you really have to like spoon feed it to them, and then they will basically get to the point of, well, there's no reason for doing any of this. Now, at that point, if the virus is real or not, is practically irrelevant because they're already agreeing with you. Well, the masks don't work, the socially distancing doesn't work, this isn't how, you know, immune systems work through exposure and everything else. Damn it, there's something I was just gonna chime in and say though, because it was something I had been thinking
I've got
about.
something to bring up again.
I don't know if it had to do with
Just
what.
thanks
Oh, I
to you,
remember
'cause
what it
you've got a
was.
wonderful.
You know what the weird thing is? Where I've been seeing Antifa sort of like, there's this talking point they're using where if they're ever approached, they're all of a sudden like, well, you know, you people, you're not wearing masks and you're not socially distancing and you're putting me in danger and this. I mean, it's like, it's this weird thing where you have these people that are like, we're revolutionaries, we're fighting the power, this and that, and next thing you know, it's like a droplet of someone's spit and they're like, I'm melting, how dare you with your mask. And it's like, you know, part of it is just this sort of like sheer will and power where it's like if I'm bitching and moaning about this, if you put the mask, it's the kneeling thing again. It's the kneeling thing again, but instead now Antifa is taking the mask wearing on, where it's basically like,
Yeah, you need the shame culture too.
huh?
Shaming the person that's not doing it. It matches that shame culture too, where if you
Yeah.
don't support black, you must be a racist. If you don't wear a mask, you must not
Yeah,
care
and
about
it's
sick.
see, and it's the weirdest thing where, I mean, a lot of these points where I look at it and it's,
And you don't believe science.
because here's how you know it's disingenuous. Because these same people would be like, we need these fucking white racist Republicans to, you know, just die and all of this other stuff. And then next thing you know, when they're around them, they're like, well, why aren't you wearing your masks and this and then? It's like, why are you suddenly concerned about the health and safety of the same people you just said you want to die? Like, what is that? I mean, even this whole mail-in voting thing where it's like the Democrats are all, oh, mail-in voting, we need the mail-in voting, this and that. And it's like, okay, so what if the Republicans outvote the Democrats mail-in? Like that idea is not even on the mainstream radar. Like, they are strictly acting as if this mail-in voting thing is a Democrat only thing, that only Democrats want it and Republicans have no interest in it whatsoever and won't even use it. Or but it really shows then that the COVID thing,
Democrat Republican isn't coming in to extinction at all.
huh?
It's not even talking. It's not even a talking point within the group. I don't think.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
A message. So I've got a lady that she's quite new to deep dive, and she did me a favor. She kind of trusts the X group a little bit. So she asked one of the leaders, can you explain your imagery to us, like the symbology and that? And that's the reply we got. So I would like to just read it out and then give me your impression about what that email tells you.
Okay. It says, yes, the world is full of signs and symbols, just like these words I'm typing are actually symbols, seen as letters, then clumped together, seen as words, then furthermore together as sentences, etc., etc. As far as the equilateral cross, it's one of the oldest symbols in the whole world. I did not create the logo. The one who did left after about 2 protests. All symbols are in essence meaningless until a human eye and human mind give it an intention. Wrong. Just like the swastika, ancient Sanskrit symbol, but now tied to a painful war memory, you will never please everybody with the symbol because they all carry the essence of other geometric lines, shapes, and symbolism. The logo is the logo. Make of it what you will. It won't change. However, the people behind the movement have the power to change this world for the betterment of humankind. So I will continue writing about the signs or symbols or get back to work. I think you know where I'm going. Peace out, sister.
What do you think about that for an explanation as to this group you want us to follow, about what your image represents, what the logo means?
I mean,
what do you think about that reply?
I think I should copy and save that response because you could use it as a response to literally anything whatsoever.
I found it very patronizing.
Oh yeah, well now that's because they're saying something but saying nothing at the same time, because nothing, if I'll bring it back up, nothing in here whatsoever even makes a vague reference. I mean, except maybe the cross thing.
And that'll fire you up.
but none of it has to do with their logo. I mean, it is like a default generic response. If someone came to you and was like, you're a PR agent or a PR consultant, and they were like, we fucked up, we used a bad logo, how should we address this? You could just riddle that off and be like, here you go. Like, for anything. Anything. And that could be a default response. I mean, bravo at fucking PR talk, but explanation-wise,
And also, I
failed
like the way that they
miserably.
say, my favourite bit is that we have the power to change humankind. But you can't
Yeah.
even interpret a symbol or a signal, right?
Yeah. Well, and
And
plus,
that sounds like a cult response.
plus,
That if I wrote Scientology and said explain these rumours,
yeah.
that's the kind of response I'd expect back.
Well, and see, here's the thing that I also said. I don't know if you noticed in there was one time where I just kind of burst out and I was like, wrong. Like, because the idea that we give the symbols
Well, no, it's
power.
actually an attack on me, Jane. It's an attack on me because I'll tell you what that fucking logo means. It means communism. It means Halloween. It's Extinction Rebellion, and it's exactly the same shit we've been telling you not to do. And when I bring it up, you're going to tell me I'm the crazy one. I'm just seeing stuff, which is exactly the same argument you're telling people that are wearing the masks. Oh, they're just seeing stuff on TV.
Yeah.
And stuff. It's exactly the same attack against me because I think I didn't say, "Oh, you've got this." I just said, "Explain the logo, explain it." So I didn't throw anything. Oh, I think it is. And then automatically, they don't even know what I think. I see. They're already interpreting. Wow, you're not seeing what you actually see.
But
Everyone could see something different. I don't see anyone looking at that and seeing not 2 feet. Do you know what I mean? 2 heads, or rather. No, I see. Everyone sees 2 fists. Everybody sees black and orange, and everybody sees the X.
yeah, and see, and the other problem
Well,
with it that
but
what she was saying, where she was basically saying we choose what the symbols mean, each of us and every. That's not true. It's
if it fits in with their agenda, they will.
Oh, well, yeah, that's that's because that just gives them a pass to do whatever. But the reality of it is that the reason these symbols have stuck around for so long is they are above us. We are not over them. I mean, they took a very postmodernist, approach to it of, well, nothing has meaning except the meaning that you decide from it. And it's like, no, the reason these symbols are continually used over and over and over through thousands of years in all of history is because they are actually the programming to us, not programming of us. They are, you know what I'm saying, right? It's like it's the logos. It is the order above us all, not the order that we have created and are then giving it, because then someone could say, like, and that's the problem. They try to use that swastika thing as a, well, over here it meant love, and now people look at it and it just means war, therefore it means nothing, and everything means nothing, and it means what you want it to mean. And it's like, that's not how it works. Like, I mean, if someone,
Anyone that looks into symbology for meaning is a crazy person.
you show me the asshole that sees red lights and thinks it means go and the green light means stop, and let's see how far they get in
That's
life.
a great one.
Yeah, but that's how it is. Things are symbol coded, color coded, like it's hardwired into us, and I don't think it's hardwired into us because we chose it, because that's, again, not what hardwiring means. Very backwards view, and like I said, that explanation could be given for anything. Anything.
Yeah, man, turn that to a music student.
Huh?
Oh, these are just symbols and and signs and signals. You're teaching a music student how to read music. Oh, they're just symbols.
Yeah.
You can make what you want.
It's like, you bring this bitch out and draw a dick on
How do
her
I read
forehead,
music?
and then be like, what does that
This
mean?
note? Yeah, oh, it can be any note you want it to be. What key is this piece in me? I'm reading it. I can't figure out what key it's in. Oh, it could be in any key.
Yeah.
Just go chromatics. Play the very next note.
Well, and that's the funny thing with the way she started, and it's funny because she did that, where she started with a point of being like, well, symbols are like letters and then like words, and then that makes a sentence, and it's like, okay, well, now you're making sense there, because yes, construction of symbols and combining them and this and that. But then you go into what's whatever you want it to mean, and it's like, okay, so now you've essentially said words also have no meaning, because that's what you were doing to make your case. You were pointing to words and language and all of that. So, you know, when I'm saying, hey bitch, I want that pussy, and you say no, well, I'm gonna go for it, because no means whatever I want it to mean. No
Jamie,
means
trying to have a family show, Jamie.
yeah, right. I don't know. I think Family Show chances died around Pizzagate 4 years ago. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like, she starts off making a kind of like, there's parts where it seems like cohesive, and that's where it's like standard default PR talk, where it's like,
I find the most cohesive people the most low IQ, actually, because my grammar's you know how bad my grammar. I cannot be fucked to type your message and check it. I'm just going to, as long as you understand what I'm saying, I'm good.
yeah, and I'm the same way.
I think it's a waste of fucking time.
I see, and I've seen things like that too, where it's higher IQ people though can read through all of it and can just, oh, I know what they're saying. I hate when people are like, when I'll misspell a word and they'll be like, what did you mean? And I'm like, you can't just tell from the context? You can't just figure out what it was supposed to say? Like, it's, I mean, you could probably send me a thing where, hey, every other word is wrong, and I'd still be like, oh, I know what they're getting at. Like,
one day Jamie will share some screenshots of the random words he has to rearrange into sentences and respell just to get anything.
One of my best friends, actually. One of my best friends is like extremely dyslexic. So I mean, imagine before Grammarly and spell check and all that, I would get some messages from him that would be nonsense, and I could still make out and figure out what it is, but it's in his head, all the letters and all that get jumbled. He would write things out phonetically.
Yeah, it's not so bad for that for me. Like, I can write okay, it's just typing, I just can't be asked. It's just awkward where I'm sat.
Yeah.
Like, I look at the keyboard, look at, and you know, and once you hit return, there's no going back. I just hit return too quick. Quite a big problem. Just hit return too quick. Anyway, we're digressing. So what's the other thing I want to bring? I just want to remind people who probably haven't seen it. I went to one of the protests, and you got all the people together. That part was great. But these three guys came in that were running it, and they seemed to be Navy to me. They weren't very nice people. They were almost like psychopaths. They did have Navy tattoos, and they stood out like a sore thumb, because everyone's just the average Joe, and these guys would look like they were training sort of like 12-hour gym days. So I've got a feeling those guys are in the Navy. And in the UK, if you don't know, where we do low-level intelligence, such as infiltrating a group, it would actually be the low-level Navy branch that would get that job. So everyone turned up and no one knew each other. About 40 people turned up, and then they were like, "Oh, we're waiting for the leaders. We're waiting for the leaders." And then straight away, I knew, oh, this is a bit weird. This one guy came, and he was quite big and really well tanned, had a Navy bag, had the Navy kind of, trousers and boots. Now I looked at his arm, it's brick shit house. He had the Navy tattoo, the compass on his arm. So I was like, oh, he's Navy. And then when the leader came, he was like built like a brick shit house. And then just to like get to know him, I just made a couple of jokes. And the first joke I made when he turned up was, I bet you get it because you're the leader, everyone's going to think you're the shill. You're the mole. And you look like a mole as well. And when I said that, he completely lost it. Like, that's a fair joke, I think. I don't know if it is a bad taste joke. I thought it's a good icebreaker.
Yeah.
And it's true, that's going to happen. And then he got in my face, like it was like out of the movie Platoon or full Metal Jacket, where he was the squadron leader and he was like, why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you here? It's like, I can stand wherever you want. I think sometimes the reason comedy is so great, and it came to me, I've hit a truth, ain't I?
Yeah.
Because you're now acting like a military dude.
I was just thinking when you were saying that, all protesters are so retarded. I've never met a person I'm gonna regret saying this because I'm sure someone will pop up and be like, but I mean, I've never met a person that I respect and I've even went and interviewed protesters, well intentioned, just not that
That's why I
bright,
went out to meet
not that
people.
bright, huh?
That's why I wanted to go, and that's why I think we just need community. We don't need to protest, have
Yeah.
placards. And just finally, if you go on the news in the UK, they've got these kids to storm supermarkets where people are just shopping their masks and take your mask off. It's like that's the look they're given for a very serious situation where they're getting giant numbers, Jamie. So that's my piece on Stand Up X, and I just want to know what you think. Am I being harsh? Am I looking way too much into this, or because everyone I speak to is
I
like, oh,
think
how
it's
dare you? How
no, I think I think it's
lockdown?
I think it makes complete sense and that it's very predictable.
What's the chances a BBC reporter heads it?
I mean,
What's the probability of that?
I I'm just thinking right now that
What's the probability they use the X?
I'm
What's the
almost more
probability they use to do this? What's the probability they use the Halloween, same as Extinction Rebellion? You must watch
well,
True Stream Media on Extinction Rebellion. When they go through how it's a ritual. It's done on Halloween.
yeah, but
the Earth worship.
The thing is all of that is like you don't even have to go that deep. Like that is so far beyond. It's. I mean, think of it. I mean, and again, like you said, it hasn't spread as much to America. But let's put it in an American context. How is the public persona, public image, public relations of Antifa and Black Lives Matter looking right now? Not that great. I mean, they're seen as burning down buildings and this and that and everything else. So how do you repair that image? I think it's beyond repair.
That's where it comes in.
But there are people that are willing to go out and take a stand against masks and everything like that. So you just got to shift the direction into...
Yeah, you can't get Q-Tards and Antifa together to protest, right? But they combined them.
Yeah.
And all the Q people are going for this. They're like, Q the plan. This is to Stand Up X. QX. That's what it is.
You know what I was going to say before when you were mentioning the, that people, now it's sort of fashionable to be a conspiracy theorist and before it wasn't and this and that. You know, the problem with the conspiracy theories nowadays that there wasn't back in the day is Ike and Alex Jones and all, there wasn't ever an occultive personality where...
Yeah, it's all esoteric with Q.
I mean, Jones is very captivating and engaging and stuff like that, and I mean, he's good for people like me, where it's like sometimes I need the serious news yelled at me.
Q's never corrected the record. Q has never corrected the record when it's been wrong. He said Obama was on a ship. And if Alex Jones said he has said crazy shit, Alex Jones, at least he corrects.
Yeah.
He's wrong.
Well, see, now the problem with Q is there's two cult of personalities going on. There is the cult of personality around Trump, which we all know I'm a supporter of Trump and everything like that, but I don't get into this. This man is divine and has been sent from God and, is all of this. He's just a dude. That's one of the things that I always try to keep in mind, because that's very much that leftist way of looking at things. Oh, well,
very biblical. Don't put your faith in man.
The corporations and the government and the this and that. And it's like, okay, well, corporations are comprised of people. Governments are comprised of people. Like, it's always people. They're just people. Like, some of them are smarter than others. Some are dumber. Some are richer. Some are they're all people. Like, so this whole, that one will save us. Like, I'm not going there. So Trump is what he is, but I can't get into that looking at him the same way other people looked at Obama. Like, that's where there is a problem and people imbue him with too much power and everything like that. But Jones never really, again, you can have a captivating person without there being this cult of personality around them. And Jones and Ike and everyone else were always very big on decentralizing everything. Like, and that's really, that's been my real actual concern about the Trump presidency, is because when you have all of these people with so much faith in this one man, then their eyes aren't going to be on how much can we decentralize? Because you have your guy in charge and you want him at the center of it and you want him fixing things and doing what he can. But when he's not there and someone else is in that position, what are you going to do? I mean, it'd be far better if it was like, okay, well, we need Trump to get there so that he can decentralize and deconstruct and do all that needs to be done on limiting the power of the federal government. But instead, when you get these cult of personalities, you're not going to be in a decentralized mindset because you're so focused on who you have and who you're centered on. You know what I'm saying, right? So that's why the Q stuff, I mean, plus there's the cult of personality around Trump from Q, but then there's the cult of personality around whoever this letter is supposed to symbolize. I mean, I will say, though, I did think it was great when... Did you see the news clip of the reporter trying to question Trump on it? And he had, like, the great burn where they were like, well, they think it's a satanic cannibals and pedophiles and this and that, and you're saving the world. And he just goes, well, would that be a bad thing? And it's like... I'm like, these morons are so wrapped up in it that they can just softball up that question, and he's just like, so stopping cannibals and pedophiles?
It does fit in with the X because when you search Anna Brie, she's going to be well known for pushing Hampstead people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's up. I could be run on this. It could be a wonderful group that really do have good intentions. I'm sure the people that got there. The last thing they did, they had a video where they had this young girl giving a speech, and she's like, I don't want to wear a mask, I don't want this at school, I don't want that. It's like, I thought we slammed Greta for exactly the same. Why are we using Greta tactics? It doesn't matter whether I agree with the girl or not. We shouldn't be putting children on any kind of platform.
I don't know. I'm not going to. I can't make a principle statement like that just because. Let me put it like this.
We did for Greta. I did.
But see, here's the difference. Greta is talking about global science and policy and everything like that. A kid saying I'd be uncomfortable going back to school wearing a mask is a kid talking about what a kid does. You know what I mean? Like. And I'm also not saying, well, let's take this kid and give them a national platform and all of this. All I'm saying is, if my local town was holding an event where we were discussing this mask stuff and everything like that, and a group of kids came up and said, we're uncomfortable going back to school doing this, I'd rather hear the kids' opinion than their parents or anyone. You know what I'm saying? Because it concerns the kid and what makes them comfortable in school and stuff like that. Greta's a whole different ball game where it's Greta's talking about shit that she doesn't have the authority or the wisdom to talk about. If Greta wanted to tell me what she thinks about the rules of kickball, I'd be all right to listen to that. But when she's talking about what the rules for global energy, stuff should, no. If she told me, here's what I think about the game of Guess Who or Checkers, okay, Greta, I'll entertain your opinions on kid shit.
How dare you?
But I mean, that's my position on it. Like, I don't like kids being exploited because people think they're more convincing than adults. But if it's a kid talking about kid shit and how the policies of the crazy world affect kids being kids, I'll listen to them. But when it's gun control stuff and all, like, school shootings aren't a daily thing. So kids trying to give us national gun policy stuff, no. I mean, I'm sure people could say there's a fine line with what I'm saying and, doesn't sound right and I'm picking and choosing and all this. But really, my line is just, if it's a kid talking about their experience doing kid stuff, that's fine. But I don't want to hear them talking about laws and policies and all. They're just not able to. A kid can say they're uncomfortable in a mask, and that's their experience.
Well, the big propaganda piece is it's always going to be defunding of the NHS, as you probably know, and that Trump obviously wants to buy it because Trump always buys stuff that's going off a cliff that's a train wreck. Trump's always buying train wrecks that can't be salvaged.
I wanted Greenland.
So what you're going to see now is the NHS workers will be, we need more funding because we're in a war zone, we're in a pandemic. This is a pandemic.
You know, it's really obnoxious how they've
They're going to ask get so much money.
well, and
When
that's what
actually
they're
get
doing with the
like
postal
that.
service right now. And isn't it
Well, that's
interesting?
Trump against your election, your postal service. That's the election. Trump versus
See,
the
but you
postal
know what's
service.
funny though
And
is
the postal service was never designed for an election.
well, and
It's
you
not
know,
for that
here's the
purpose.
more interesting part. The postal service supports him. Is that I mean, remember I'm dating a postal worker, so I know what the inner working. In fact, Trump's brother that just passed away is on their route. But it's like they all know that it was never meant for the election. They can barely handle what they have going on now. They know they will be the first ones to tell you we are not
Yeah,
capable.
Trump scamming you in return, as Owen Benjamin said.
Huh?
Benjamin made a good point that Trump's scamming the world because he's all about privatization. His people are all about privatization. And I think in America, the last place you've got a constitution left is actually the mail service. Because, like you see with YouTube, you violate their policies, you can't speak on that. You violate the policies of Facebook, you can't speak on that. It happens with bank accounts, as you saw earlier. You can't use PayPal, can't use the credit cards. The mailing is Owen's loud is the PO box, right? PO box,
Yeah.
Harbour, whatever it is. And once that's privatized, they can say Owen Benjamin's violating the terms. You
Well,
can't send a fucking
you
letter.
know what's weird about it though is
So I think this is the last place the Constitution is.
see
Trump's now going to get that privatized.
but it's weird. I can't do it justice, so I'm not even going to try. But the postal service isn't as government as people are under the impression it
Yeah,
is.
sure.
There's a large
But it
amount
is
of
the
it
last
that
stand.
there's a large amount of it that is private, but then it receives government subsidies or something like that. It's in a weird situation because also like the retirement party retirement packages and all that are like government agency ones. It's in this weird gray area, and it's pros and cons to it
It's
because
shady.
I don't know how shady it is, but I mean there are shady things that go on because of it where you know like this Bezos and Amazon fucking basically using them as their own private delivery service until they've built their own and then leaving them bankrupt in the process. I mean they lose money left and right. They probably could deal with a little more. I mean I'm telling you I after just knowing what I know now of the inner workings of it, you really got to wonder like why it is that their workers leave work filthy. I mean, visibly covered in dirt just from being in and out of their mail trucks that are breaking down left and right. And meanwhile, this they just get trillions thrown at them, and nothing seems to get any better. So I mean, there's a money hole there somewhere that needs to be plugged up, but the idea that they can just throw more money at it and then have voting through it is far-fetched. I mean, it's not built for that. And anyone that works there would tell you that. And if you notice any of these big interviews about it, you notice who they're not interviewing, postal workers. I mean, again, some of the things
Doesn't matter because the fix is so obvious anyway. They don't really care what the postal vote is. They're only going to care about those particular blue states, and then they're going to be the ones, as they said, who are refused. They won't care about where Trump's popular. They won't even bother.
yeah, well, and then look at even some of the things like what I was saying online, some of the things that make no sense where like you know, you have these celebrities pushing these things being like Trump is sending trucks around to steal mailboxes and it's like in California? Like because what? California was going to switch up and not be a Democrat state anyway? Like and if they're just stealing mailboxes, like why well then wouldn't that stop the Republicans that were going to mail in? Like it there's this weird just one side view at this issue where the other side just looks at it and says this isn't supposed to happen. And it's this conversation I keep having with people where I keep going to them and I'm like my mom even I had to explain to my mom where I said, Mom, this is wrong. She said, no, people mail in their votes all the time. I said that's absentee. you have to request that ballot. I said, this isn't what we're talking about.
Yeah,
And that's,
you know what?
I said, that's how they're preying on your ignorance. I said, what this is them just sending out ballots. I said, now let me tell you, Mom. I said, what if they send you out a ballot? You don't know your ballot's coming. I take your ballot, I write Trump in on it for you, and then I send it back. And you have no idea that your vote was sent and cast because you weren't expecting that ballot to show up. That's the problem. And she goes, "Oh, I had no idea that's what this controversy was over." And I said, "Yes." I said, "It's not anything about absentee ballots or mail-in ballots when you request them." I said, "It is about just sending out blank ballots in mass." I said, "And mind you also, again, it is the same party that accuses everyone else of cheating that's trying to change the rules." I said, and that's always how it is. I said, it's this deflective projection tactic where they're like, oh, well, we're changing the rules over it. You're cheating. You're cheating. You're cheating. Don't look at what I'm doing. You're cheating. You're stealing elections. Send out ballots to dead people left and right. Send it to their dogs. Like, I mean, it's really wild.
I think Trump would just do that, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I honestly, it depends how much power he has. I'll tell you what I hope he does. I hope he says, we're voting like we've always voted before. These mail-in ballots, we're sending them right through a paper shredder unless it's an absentee one that's requested. And this election is going on as every other election did.
Big states can refuse that and just do their own thing.
Huh?
Yeah, and in the blue states that are crazy, you can just refuse that and just do their own thing.
I see. That's the thing. I don't know.
Then you will get like what it is in these,
I mean, they'll try.
films. You'll have the rich side and just the poor side. It'll be Republican and crazy, conservatives and crazy.
I'll tell you what, though. From watching that RNC last night, I was very.
Because relocate, part of the Agenda 21 and the lockdown report, people forget, it's the mass relocation. You're seeing that in New York right now. You're seeing that in California right now.
Well,
anyway, I've got a dash, man, because I want to keep it just on Oxford's Day.
Okay. I do just want to make a quick point, though, just off of what you were saying.
America.
Just a quick point off of what you were saying, though.
Will be dead by Sunday, maybe.
When I was watching the RNC last night, I was very surprised at the amount of Republican Congress people from New York. I didn't think we really had many in New York. So I think there is a big shift going on where I think, and that's why they're fighting this election so hard, is I think you're going to see a red wave like unimaginable. And it's people that are really behind the Trump
doesn't matter
ideas. I don't know. It might, because, you know, again, we've seen a lot of the negative, harmful things from COVID.
It'll just be a bigger chas was like a dry run. That's going to be the whole of California, but worse.
But the thing I'm saying is, again, look at how they have painted everything concerning this virus into a left or right thing and saying that it shouldn't be that way. I mean, really, it shouldn't. Diseases and science, it shouldn't be partisan politics. But if it's gonna be that way, well, then I'd rather the side that's more cautious and like we can open up, you know, this doesn't make sense. That I'd rather have them have a clean sweep because we've seen so much of this has been progenerated from these Democrat mayors and
Biden now.
Huh?
I think it'd be better if Biden just won.
I don't.
I wish Hillary won it. To be honest with you, now I really do. If Hillary had won on day one, there would have been a genuine, much better revolt. There wouldn't have been all this chaos.
See, but I can't. I in no way does that compute to me. Where it's like the idea of we were on the wrong track. And we should have kept on the wrong track because more people would be mad that we're on the wrong track.
People would have been so concerned over Hillary, they would have gone. Anyway, I just think it would have been dealt with much better.
I don't.
I know that sounds nuts.
It is nuts. Paul, I love you, but that is the craziest shit you've ever said to me. Like there's something about my brain where I just can't. That doesn't compute for me. Huh?
It will be a disaster.
But that's the problem though. Is I just don't see it, like that sounds like such a misery loves company position where it's like I don't see how being on the wrong
But you'll
track
get
is.
that in, you'll just get a vote of no confidence within literally 5 days.
I see, but the problem is and I do understand to some extent you have to destroy sometimes in order to rebuild things. And I get all of that. You know, we're going to at some point have to drop the dollar and figure out something with a new currency and all that. But I don't. The same people that would be in charge and lead us to it bottoming out are not the people I want in charge of things being rebuilt. I mean, that's really like I can kind of get your point, but then it's still a matter of
Yeah,
like,
I get
well,
that they
she's,
got control of the army.
huh?
I mean, they got control of the military and stuff.
Yeah,
Could be risky, but you'll be all right.
but damn it, I was gonna bring. There's next time we talk, I wanna watch some more. You know, I have a theory that is based on completely nothing except my own wild ideas. So I'm gonna look into it more. It'll be what I present to you. I have a suspicion, and again, this is backed by nothing except me just watching it when it was live and thinking after the fact. The DNC, the Party of Hollywood, did their convention. I mean, it looked like a high school AV class could have put it together. Like, there was no production quality, everyone's Zoom calling from whatever hole they're in, and everything like that. But out of nowhere, Joe Biden had the stamina to give like a half-hour speech with very little gaffes or anything like that. My suspicion is, and again, based on nothing, so no one quote me here. My suspicion is, though, they kept everything else for all of it so lo-fi and low-tech and everything like that because they deep-faked Joe Biden. That's just what I'm. I mean, it's the only way I can make sense of all of it.
Deep fake, but a lot of editing.
Yeah, and people, someone mentioned
A
that to me
lot
that
of
there
editing.
was a lot of editing. A lapel would move
Because
and stuff
editing's
like that.
hard, man. Like if I edited Jamie, let's say, like you might have to do at the most 3 edits at the most. With Joe Biden, you might be looking like you might not notice it. You might just okay, might just switch off. But once you get into 10 edits, it's going to be noticeable, really fucking noticeable. Once you get to 20, it's insane.
Yeah.
But Joe Biden could literally be looking at 120 thousands of edits.
And that's my suspicion. My suspicion is they.
I won't go down the route of deepfake, but it's kind of in that, yeah, to keep it all.
Yeah. And that's what I think they did. I think they kept everything else very lo-fi, low-tech, you know.
I don't know enough about how, but yeah.
And then I think Joe Biden is where they put all their eggs in that basket with their Disney magic and all this stuff to make. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking happened. I'm gonna rewatch it and sort of see what I can pick up on, or see if other people have.
Harris, whatever her name was, when she randomly came on, so maybe that was the test.
Even with them, you know, it was really weird where like they had them both come out, they're both there, they went, they saw each other, then they walked outside. Just still the same 4 people that were just inside together, put their masks on to then stand in front of a flag and these fireworks for like a photo op, and then took their masks off. And it's like, this is how you know it's performative bullshit. Like, they don't even buy their what they're selling. They're just like, oh, the cameras are going to take this shot of me in front of the flag with fireworks, mask on. It's, I hate it.
I'll let you conclude about what you think of stand-up X.
Well, like we were saying earlier, I think it's obviously controlled opposition, and I think it is, like how we alluded, you know, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, all of them have a public image, public relations nightmare on their hand. They're not going to attract many more new people. So you essentially need some rebranding. And like you said, if this is what it takes to bring in the Q people and sort of get all these people together, then so be it. But obviously through the symbolism and the iconography, it's not just about masks. It's about something more.
Jamie, that was poetry. I'd love for you to put that at the beginning as an intro clip. That was poetry. That'd be a great intro clip.
Okay.
That's the best thing you said in 2020.
I'll do that right now. So let's end it here. So. But all right.
If I really want to push this video out, then it's going to get some comments, I feel.
Yeah, I'll even steal their graphic and use that as the thumbnail.
Yeah. And I will spread this far and wide, and either I'll be mocked for my views or
All good. They're all idiots
Thanks,
anyway.
Jamie, for letting me rant on that. I'm sorry there's no jokes, no comedy, but I'm a bit annoyed at this. It's a big thing, this X thing.
It's all
We
right.
need community. We don't need to be protesting. We just need like a Bertaria.
Yeah.
I've got this skill. You've got this skill.
And just civil disobedience. If everyone just said, I'm not doing it,
You don't need
that's...
to protest. It's going to get you nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's rude. You're not going to win people over. It's 2020. Everyone, if people can't figure out 2020, you go and protest. It's just going to wind people up the wrong way.
I love Earl Grey tea. Anyway.
Cool,
All right. I'll talk to you later this week, man. All right.
It's all day. All right, man.
I'll see you later.
See you Sunday, man.